So guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to France 2021. You're joining me out here on the Charente River for another French carp adventure. Okay guys, I'm about to go out in the boat, about to place the rigs. The boats have slowed down, so I shouldn't have a problem with anything going through my lines, bearing in mind I'm going all the way across the other side. Just a quick look at the rigs. I've got a lead on there, it's on a leg clip arrangement. All three are exactly the same. Tail rubber right on, trying to keep them leads on. But if I do snap off, which I'm not going to, they can get rid of the lead, and believe you me, they will. You've got 12-inch there of strippable braid, and on the end is a size 4 XX wide gape. That's got a small kicker on the end, and on the end of that 35-pound strippable braid is about an inch section that's stripped. Just allows the hook to swivel when the fish picks it up. On top of that, the ever reliable Snowman rig. I put faith in that rig in the UK or here in France. It's done me some real good fish off this river. You see that nice stiff braid, but on the end you've got a really loose section. On the end of that I just click a nice 6-bait stringer in the form of PVA mesh. All that's for is when I'm out in the boat and I'm dropping straight off the lead, I just want to keep separation between the main line and the hook. So guys, I'm currently out in the river, and what I wanted to show you was where I'm actually fishing up to. If you look behind me, if I just spin around a little bit, that's actually the far bank, and you can see the overhanging trees. Now that's what I'm classing as snags. Now what you do have is branches that go into the water, but bearing in mind I'm fishing in 12-foot approximate depth of water, and it drops down below where I am to at least 20 foot. So as long as I can keep them fish low in the water, I've got a fairly good chance of getting them out, and very, very few, if any, fish actually make it into any of these branches, providing I keep the lead on. So guys, just a bit of a background to the story so far. You're joining me on the second week, it's Monday night. I didn't manage to get a lot of filming done last week. The first night I came down, I'd not been down for a year, lost touch with the river. It took me quite a few hours to get set up and go out in the boat and find some spots on the far margin. I actually blanked that night, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything. Came back down on the Wednesday night, had a much more productive night. I had a couple of fish. One I think I had last year, and then went on to catch this lovely mirror. Well guys, there you go. First fish 2021 off the river. Beautiful, fully scaled. Fairly sure I've had this fish before, a couple of years ago. Just shy of 26 pounds. Slightly up on weight from when I caught her back then. Beautiful fish. Look at the length of it. If this thing filled out, it'd be absolutely massive. Come away from the far snags really easy. I thought it was a small fish, shook its head a couple of times. Got it in close. Absolutely beasted me. It's nice to get these beautiful old warriors out of this river. Just as it was getting dusk. I've just sacked her up for 20 minutes. They put a lot of energy into the fight. I think just putting them in the sack that little length of time calms them down so you can do your video or your pictures, regain a strength, and then we can get her back. Get back out in the boat and get that rig back on the money. Alright guys, second fish of the night. 32.10 this one. Absolute chunk of a mirror. Definitely been caught before. Got a face only a mother could love. Exactly the same rod. Same situation as the first fish. It's been back out there about an hour and a half. Same setup. 80 boilies over the top. Just about to go to bed. Rod slammed down. Another beautiful fish on the end. Turning into a bit of a night tonight. Getting into some of the best fish. It's mainly why I fish this area. New fish to me, this one. Luckily it's not one I've caught before. It's nice to get off on the second night with a 30-pound mirror. Get the skill back in the boat and get the rod back on the spot. Okay guys, so it's always good to get off the mark with a really nice fish. Second night, 32-pound plus, beautiful fish. Now, I'm not going to make out it hasn't been caught before. It definitely got some mouth damage. This particular area, although does contain big fish, definitely gets fishing pressure. The fish are not uncaught, but they are beautiful and they're worth fishing for. So guys, building on that success, I came back down on the Friday night and unbelievably I managed to get in the same place. This year as well as last year, a bit like in the UK, everybody's now living out of vans, they're camping, there's tents everywhere. I've not had too much problem with fishermen on this particular length, but there's a lot of problem with camper vans and they all seem to want to be in the only spots you can fish. The other issue I'm having a problem with is the road behind me. It's what you'd call a sandstone road, I suppose, and because it's really dry, really hot and sunny, there's people thrashing up and down. I just can't get the camera out. There's dust everywhere. Everything, including the car, is covered in a layer of white dust. So didn't manage to get a lot of filming done the first week, guys. Apologies for that. But I did get back down on the Friday night and I managed to get myself a really nice common carp. Hi guys, it's night 3, it's Friday night. Well, it's actually Saturday morning. If you want to get picky, it's 10 to 1 in the morning. Another beautiful common carp. Real long fighting machine again. Off the far side. Came on the right hand rod this time. Same setup though, as I showed you earlier. Got them snowmen on all 3 rods now. Seems to be the rig doing the business, so be a shame not to make the most of it. It's absolutely gone ballistic since I've had it in the net. Didn't fight much on the way in, weeded me close in. As soon as I got it in the net, it's just gone absolutely bonkers. 24.5 pound. Another beautiful fish. Let's get it back out in the boat. So guys, second week, Monday night, we've got a slight problem with the river. It's gone tidal again. Now what I mean by that is a few miles downriver there's actually what you call a lock or a barrage in France, and what they do is when the tides are above a certain height they open up the barrage and let the water in. Okay guys, so what that generally means is for 2 to 3 hours the high tides are going to be coming up the river, so the river's going to be flowing in the opposite direction. Now it's not necessarily the flow that causes me the problem, it's all the debris that gets washed into the river off the banks and all the loose weed that comes back down the river as it's going out. It goes out for approximately 2 to 3 hours the same, and then they close the barrage. Now the way I get around this is using the clothesline peg method. This is effectively attached to the far bank with a bit of line, and then my braid is wrapped around it so the fish can pull it out the clip, but I can still get tension here at the rod end. That allows me to keep the line above the water and out the way of all the floating debris coming down the river. guys, you're joining me out in the boat. I'm out in the river, I'm on the far bank. I'm directly above where I'm fishing. As I mentioned earlier, with the tides and things, I like to use the clothesline peg method. All I'm doing is bringing the rod out here. I'm dropping the bait directly below where I am. I've got the line attached to the tree and I've got the peg directly above where I'm going to be fishing. The line gets dropped in off the rod from the boat and all the bait gets put over the top exactly where I want it. And then the line gets wrapped around the clip in a certain way so the fish can pull it out really easily, but I can get some tension from the bank to keep the line above the water. With the line being above the water, I don't have a problem with the weed building up and eventually pulling the lead off the spot. Okay guys, so we're back out in the river. I just brought you back out so you can see exactly how the line is going into the clip there at the top. You just see the close peg hanging down and then the line is going directly down into the water. Then obviously that is going all the way back to the bank. Okay, so this section's going down to the fish. When you actually get a take from a carp, this is how easy to pull out the clip. Really easily. And then you're in direct contact with the fish. There you go guys, second fish of a quick morning brace, just as the tide's coming in. Just a quick look at this one, and then we've got something special in the sack to show you next. Okay guys, the fish have been waiting to show you. I caught this first this morning out of the brace. The hardest fighting carp I've ever caught. The reason being, it's the biggest one I've ever caught. Managed to break my French PB. Check that out. Check that out for an absolute unit of a fish. 20 kilo, or in English money, 44 pounds. Off the far margin. So this one came on the ever faithful snowman rig. You've seen me show you that before. Utmost faith in it. Size 4 hooks, 35-pound hook length, absolutely bulletproof. Wicked. Let's get this girl back, get packed down, get back on the family holiday. Okay guys, it's time to get packed down now. It's getting a bit fresh, I'm ready for a cup of tea, so I'm going to get off home, get back on the family holiday, a bit of canoeing. Don't think I'm going to get down Wednesday night, so next time you see me is probably going to be Friday on my last night. Looking forward to it already, hopefully I can go out on a bang. Welcome back guys, it's the final night of my August 2021 carp adventure here on the Charente. Amazingly, I've managed to get back in my preferred choice swim. There's actually no one here. Quite lucky for me because there's quite a lot of carp anglers down tonight. There must be between 6 and 10, which is quite a lot for this area. I've managed to get in the spot. I've had bait going in before. The pressure's off because I've already had some really nice fish. So I'm going to sit back, relax, get the rods out, have a beer and look forward to my final night on the Charente. So guys, just to give you a bit of an idea if you've not seen my videos before, just a little bit of a clue as to what we use out here in France. 3.5 pound test curve rods, a through action rod but a really strong powerful rod in the butt. Couple that up with a 5,500 reel. I've got these loaded with braid. It's about a 50 pound braid. It's not a real high-tech quarter type braid, it's really slim. This has got a flat profile, it floats and it is not very abrasive at all, which is perfect for the fish. So guys, we're also using a nice solid goalpost type buzz bar setup. This one's actually a rod pod. It's absolutely rock solid. It's the ProLogic one. If you want to see what it looks like, I've done a review on the channel. Very good pod, probably the best one for the money. Also roller buzzers. Now here I'm using braid. I've used Delkins before. Braid absolutely wrecks Delkins. So now I'm just using a cheap roller type buzzer. A lot of people don't use bobbins. I personally do. I like to see what's going on. And when I'm using the washing line method going over to the far bank, they're definitely a bonus to see them drop backs, which is the only bite you actually get using that system. Last and by no means least, a 5 litre bucket strapped to the back of the rod pod, completely full of water. In the event of a savage take, locked up solid on the far bank, the last thing you want to do is lose the whole lot into the river. So guys, looking at the lead arrangement, what you may have heard me say a few times and been a little bit surprised because I'm fishing against what I'm calling as snags, is that I don't want the lead to come off. Now you might find that a little bit surprising, but I don't see the need to be dropping leads needlessly. So I've got that tail rubber pushed right on there, and because I'm fishing such a really tight line, so as soon as I get a take, I've indication on the bobbins and the fish come away from the far bank, that lead will stay on, and the consequence of that is the fish will stay deep. If I was to have a slack line there, that lead would get ejected immediately. The takes here are so savage that they will get rid of leads. But because I've got the tight line across to that lead, the lead stays on, the fish stays low, and I would say 19 times out of 20 the fish ends up in the landing net. Not a problem whatsoever. The one time where I do lose a few leads, if at all, is when I'm washing line rigging across to the other side, when I've got that tight line above the water right over and it's wrapped around that clothes peg. The problem is when the fish takes the bait and clips the clothes peg, it's got an extra 12 foot of line to play with, which giving it some slack. At that point they tend to eject the lead. Now that can cause me a little bit of a problem, and in that scenario I try not to fish too close to the trees or the trees that are dangling in the water. The consequence of losing the leads is better than me constantly going out in the boat and repositioning the rigs. Well guys, nothing to report through the night. It's been really quiet. I've had a lot of taps on the rod tips and a lot of bleeps all the way through the night. I actually went out at 10 to 1 in the morning just to make sure I wasn't getting done over by bream and skimmers or even crays. Checked all 3 rods because I did think that when the tide was going in and out I'd actually moved the leads, but they'd actually stayed exactly where I put them and there wasn't a single mark on the bait, so I'm not quite sure what all the liners were, but they certainly weren't affecting my presentation. I redid the rods and then the liners started again about an hour before first light, so I've had it in the past where I've wound in sort of 8 o'clock in the morning and I found my hook baits have been gone, and I think it's that hour before and hour after first light you seem to get a lot of skimmers turn up, and obviously your baits being out overnight, they can be very vulnerable at that time of day. So I went out and just spot checked one rod and it was absolutely fine, so I didn't bother with the other 2, I just left them, but there's been nothing showing and it's been very quiet. So whether it's due to the extra angling pressure that we've had last night, I'm not really sure, but it's been an enjoyable night all the same. I've got to pack down now, so we'll see if anything happens while I'm packing up. Well guys, unfortunately we've come to the end of the session. That's my last night. Going home tomorrow, back on the ferry, back to Angleterre. Hope you've enjoyed the film and hopefully see you out here again next year.